Okay, I have 1216 and we have Valerie is in the house. So out of respect to her and everyone else's time that is here ready to go, that's what we're going to do. So Valerie, Caro, welcome to
Thank you.
our real estate office. Basically, we're here from 8:30 in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. With all kinds of different things and prospecting. We just got off of a prospecting where a number of our agents were on open mic doing their prospecting for 30 minutes, kind of just demonstrating what they do and how they do it. And that was, very cool. And then we do this for an hour, and then we have a couple hours more of prospecting, and then what we call Century 21 University later on this afternoon. So it's a lot of training, a lot of things going on. We're spending in here, we counted up about 19 hours of training a week,
Wow.
not including the coaching that we do as an organization, where we're working one-on-one, two-on-one training, et cetera. So a lot of different things, And we're just have an opportunity to meet somebody like you, bring you into our office, so to speak, and just share different things and what's going on in Valerie land. So Valerie, so tell me, so talk to me a little bit, and we know a little bit of your story and your history, but give me the Reader's Digest of Valerie Caro in the world that she works and services and properties that she takes care of there.
So thank you, Neil. And it's so great to be on this Zoom call today. And what's even better is the fact that Neil supports you guys in doing all of these things. I mean, like, there are people that are not doing anything right now and that are, sad, have nothing to do. And Neil is running offense and getting a lot of really fun people together. And I've watched some of your videos that you sent me the link. They're awesome. So thank you very much. And I'm going to keep watching these too.
Good, thank you.
So I started in Flagstaff in the real estate business when I was 18 years old. That was 34 years ago. And I've been selling residential real estate here ever since. So I've been with Mike Ferry doing training for about 10 years right now. And I told Mike, if I had started at the beginning of my career, I'd be retired by now, sitting on that beach, that real beach that Neil's sitting by.
You don't know it's not real.
Okay.
Okay, good job. So Valerie, so that's a lot of years of doing a lot of houses, okay? Yeah. A lot of pieces of property, etc. So how many transactions do you think that is a year on average? What do you typically do?
It probably averaged, 24 years. I averaged probably 25 transactions a year. And then once I was with Mike, then I probably have averaged 125 to 150 transactions a year. And
well, I don't know if I knew that. That's significant difference.
Yeah.
And you actually have you always worked part-time, or did you do that only when you started doing lots of deals?
So I spent the same amount of time doing 24 deals, and the embarrassing part is that I was still the #1 agent in Flagstaff at that time, doing 26. And then I met Mike and he spit on me, and then I was like, okay. He said, isn't 150 better and for the same amount of time, or actually less time? I said, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Got it.
Where do I sign?
Exactly.
Yes.
So what changed? I mean, you were the top agent in your area. Congratulations, that's awesome. You were doing it with 25, 26 transactions a year, and then you kind of downshifted and hit the gas.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't double your business. You went 5 times.
I know. Yeah. Well, just, you know, one of the great things about MFO or in your office or just being around really great people is perspective. And you are able to think a lot bigger when you're around people doing really great things. So I'm always looking for people doing more than I am or doing something better. And just the opportunity to be around really great people um, that push you all the time is the answer to that.
So you didn't have that in your town. You had to go outside to get it, right?
Very much so. I honestly, I call it the island. I feel like I'm on the island. And I think that's one of the things that MFO is so good at as well, is bringing really good people together. You know, Mike says, let's get together 4 times a year. That is the one thing that I so miss about the events, that we're not able to do those in person right now, is that I like the energy. I like catching up with people. I love the just everyone hearing all of our stories and being able to share. And that's the one, I think that's the thing that I miss the most right now, is the interaction with all of, you know, my friends, basically.
Interesting. Got it. Yeah, got it. No, I totally get that. So take us back a little bit. I mean, how do you downshift and go from 25 to 125 basically in 1 year?
Well, I didn't, and it was a step, it was stepping. And so I went to, I think I would say maybe 55 that first year, which was doubling my business, which was great. And then I went to 75. And then and I promise this, once you get over 100, it's easier than 50. And basically, I took advantage of that market, the down market. I love a down market. I love when there's blood in the water. I love when what I call the skimmers, which are the agents that do the 3-4 deals a year, are out, and that basically it's our time to shine.
Got it.
It's like,
okay.
hold my beer, I got this.
So from 25 to 55, I mean, what happened? What changed? What business did you work in the 25s? What was the type of business you generated there? Was it expireds, for sale by owners, past client and sphere in the 25?
I would say at the 25, it was just center of influence.
Okay.
That's all. I didn't really know to do anything else.
Okay. And then when you came to Mike and he exposed you to some other sources of business, that's when you started working the sphere of influence plus these other sources?
Yeah, I did. And actually to have a script to use, basically. It's easy to call when you know what to say.
Yeah. Good. And then you had the discipline also to do that. And we'll talk about the discipline and the focus here in just a little bit. But so the business was expired for sale by owners for you?
Yeah, the first few years was a lot of expireds. And I know when you have people come in and they don't work expires all the time, like I would say, I love expireds. And they would be like, oh my gosh, I can't even. But you'll find something that you think, oh my gosh, that I love. And expireds are it for me.
Okay, very interesting. And there's still expireds in your market today?
Not as many as I would like. I would like 20 a day, but right now, you get a few, right?
Okay. And you work the Flagstaff market, or is it segmented? How big is that market?
Yeah, the population in Flagstaff's, I would say maybe 65 to 70,000. So I work all of Flagstaff.
All of Flagstaff. Okay. So you get an expired, you'll work the expired, you get a for sale by owner, you'll work those areas. when you first started into business, did you do a lot of previewing, or did that just over time you learn the markets?
It's funny because even on a listing presentation today, they'll say, do you want to come over? I'll be like, well, I've been there twice. So what have you done since you bought it, 6 years ago? So I've been pretty much in every single house in Flagstaff.
Wow. Wow.
A
Good
few
for you.
times.
A few times. Yeah. Got it. Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about mindset. So you went from 25 to 55 to 75 to 100. That takes a shift. It takes a different thought process, right?
Yeah.
So what went into that? What did you, I mean, there had to be mornings you got up and didn't want to do this.
Mm. Well, I mean, always like anything, but to get a different result, you have to change things. And so what I said especially when I went into MFO, is I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to Mike 100% and I'm going to use his words, I'm going to use his scripts. So if this doesn't work, it's not my fault, it's his.
Well, that's smart.
It doesn't not work is the point. Like, that was probably the best decision I ever made, which was, okay, like, let's see what this does. So I thought I'm going to give it 100%, and then we'll just see what comes out of this.
But Valerie, a lot of us have been exposed to this, and we'll either say we're going to give it 100%, or what happens more times than not is someone will get into our ear or something, or we'll go on a listing presentation and maybe we'll go on 2 or 3 and we don't get them for 1,000 different reasons, okay? And then we start thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe this program really doesn't work, and we start questioning it. We start questioning Mike, but Mike, we go through that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So how did you work through that? Or maybe you didn't have it.
Well, of course. I don't get all of them for whatever reason, we can think of. Like, I'll be outpriced, I'll be out commissioned, I'll be out loved, or whatever they do. That happens to everybody. It is not agent specific or market specific at all. So it doesn't matter how many people I know, I won't get them sometimes. And so I think the one thing that I was even thinking about over the last few weeks is that, I don't know, it's probably harder for some people, but just to have what I consider that blind faith in the system, because I've had the success. I know that it's going to work. At the end of the day, every single call that I make, I'm going to get a 10% return on. It might not be today. It might not be, COVID 3 weeks from now, but I will guarantee you, just having that blind faith in the system and doing that consistently is going to pay off. That I know, 100%.
So you said every call is going to give you 10%. What are you referring to there?
Well, I refer to the fact that anyone that I talk to, I have a conversation with, they might not be doing something today, but I am going to make money off of that call. So whatever the numbers are, it's cumulative.
Okay.
And just to, some days I don't have a listing appointment, or I get somebody that's mean to me, and I'm like, don't you know who I am? Just kidding. I'm teasing.
No, but I'll bet you sometimes you feel that way, don't you? Be honest.
I do.
Come on.
I'm
Of
like,
course.
who does that? That's so rude. Oh my gosh. But it is a numbers game, and we're just talking to people, and just to know that's the answer.
Is the blind faith.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The blind faith. The blind faith. Okay. And you think, you're convinced it was the blind faith of when you met Mike and and he said, do this, do it this way, and say these words this many times, and that you'll do better, and that you did.
Well, I had to, because after 24 years, you can imagine I had some pretty bad habits, right?
Okay.
So I had gotten to the peak of my business life, to whatever that ridiculous number was, which is embarrassing right now. But, you know, for me, that was the bottom, not the top. And so I did have to have total blind faith in the whole system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So, what did you do back then to try and get your mind right every day? I mean, does it come naturally to you, or are you like, you know, the rest of us, like, is it, you got to work at it?
So
Or is that one of your superpowers?
that, and that I get up at the same time every day. But so I didn't go to college. I went into real estate straight out of high school. I did go to college for about 2 hours. And so I've always been a super hard worker. That's the way I was raised. And so I feel like outworking people is better than, you know, being crafty. And so I'm not afraid of hard work. And
Okay.
so that to me is cathartic even.
So just getting out and do it. So door knocking, phone canvassing. What do you prefer?
I typically do not door knock. Like, I wear really nice shoes, and there's no way I'm going through Cinders or anywhere in those Jimmy Choos. The answer is no. That's a hard no. So,
Okay.
what? Girls got to make a decision, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere, right?
Right. So, and honestly, having a great database that is robust, which I very much am grateful for right now over the last few weeks, is I got a lot of people. I got too many people to call right now. I mean, I cannot keep up with the calls that I need to be making, honestly. So I've got a lot of great, you know, past clients. And so making a few of those calls and getting into their, you know, kind of what their plans are, not today maybe, but for the next year or couple of years, pretty much produces a lot of business.
So how many people in your database right now?
Well, it used to have 3,800. I narrowed it down to 1,200. I went through and flushed a lot.
And you did that when?
I did that 2 years ago.
Okay. And the 3,800 came down to 1,200. So now you have 1,200 people that you know and know you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got it. And how do you touch that 1,200? What's your routine?
Well, so there's like probably, I would say 100 to 300 people that I talk to all the time. And a lot of the people that I narrowed it down to in my database are connectors in the community. So I can make one call that connects me to 10 people, basically.
Great
So
idea.
that was my goal, is from an efficiency standpoint. You know,
So when you say a connector, are you talking, it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional person. It could just be a housewife that knows everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, I say just a housewife, and I don't mean disrespectfully, but
Yeah.
it sometimes we get the picture of this is a high-powered attorney who knows everybody. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And that's smart. It's very, very smart. But when you went from 3,800 to 1,200, didn't think, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm giving a deal away if I'm getting rid of this. Maybe that guy or gal is going to do a deal and then I'm not going to get that deal. Didn't that bother you?
No, because you can't call 3,800 people, like, unless you hire somebody to do it. What that does is clogging the system. It's making me lose 10 by not being able to wade through all of the BS,
Okay.
honestly. Like, I'd rather, listen, I'd rather have 100 people that I talk to every 2 weeks than 1,800 that I talk to once a year, honestly. Like, I would prefer quality over quantity every single day. Make it smaller. That's the key.
Well, actually, it's very interesting you say that. I was at an event with you, Hal Swayze, and we were all in the front row. And I was talking to you, Hal Swayze, Tony Smith, there was a couple other people, and all of you were giants in small markets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I coined the phrase, to get bigger, you have to get smaller.
Yep.
And that was part of that conversation. And what you're saying is exactly the same thing here. To get bigger, you actually cut your database in half.
Yeah.
And got bigger.
Yes.
Or more efficient, or however you're looking at it. Good for you.
Yeah.
Smart move. Okay, I still want to go back to the 25 to 55.
Okay.
Okay, because that we can all kind of relate to at some level.
Mm-hmm.
What was the mindset? What you had to have some passion, some desire, some I'm going through this wall. Because for how long? 20 years you were doing 25 deals?
24 years, yeah.
24 years you did 25 deals.
Yeah.
And you were number one.
Yeah.
No one was chasing you.
No.
And you were making a couple $100,000 a year for Flagstaff, something like that?
Yeah, not bad.
No. I mean, it doesn't buy as many Jimmy Choos as you can buy now, but it was still okay. So what drives you to move forward like that? I'm trying to get that from you, because if you can find that in you and share that with our team, maybe that can help us make the similar breakthroughs.
So, it's funny you say that. And I was sitting at a Mike Ferry event one day, and he said something that just really resonated with me. And I had been doing this, just being able to have the scripts and make the calls explodes your business, number one. But he said something that I thought, that's a great point. And he said, once you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing this business or at your level, that's when it's going to explode. And that's when it exploded for me. I was sick and tired of hearing either an excuse or not having the results. And so at that point in time, it was like 100% into coaching. I said, I'm going to listen. I'm going to do exactly what my coach says. And, I was with a couple of really great coaches, one of them, Kathy Anderson. And she had emailed me something one day that I have kind of taped on my computer. And may I read it to you?
Please.
It says, you are absolutely the most coachable person I've ever worked with. Thank you for that. You are a gift. And just being able to set your ridiculous ego aside and be coachable and listen to somebody who really has your best interest in mind is the difference. And so just being sick and tired of the excuses is what changed that.
A big motivator for you at the time.
And, I feel like everybody does that at some point in their life. And then that was mine.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. Okay, COVID-19.
Yes.
Fast forward. Okay. January and February, I'm sure you were having a similar awesome January and February as a lot of us were. And then comes this conversation in March, And then about March 17th or so, that's what it was for us. I don't know what the date was for you. They pretty much locked the city.
Mhm.
So what changes did you make, if any?
Right. Well, actually, at the beginning of this year, it was a terrible year for me.
Interesting.
We had a loss in my family that was horrific. January sucked. And by February, I mean, I was still pissed. And so by March, that made it like the third time's a charm. In my office, I have a really close staff member. They had lost family. We had been through just hell and back, honestly, for the first couple of months of the year, and then this thing. So at the end of the day, Neil, I mean, COVID-19, big deal. I mean, bring it. So I think our mental state at that time was this is nothing. This is not going to slow us down, and it was actually a little motivating because just like in that 2008 market when the agents were scared, I'm like, okay, hold my beer. So it was, it kind of made it fun. And like I said before, it was cathartic to be able to know what to say, be able to help people get on the phone. And so that was kind of healing for me to an extent as well.
Well, that's great. Good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Look, I talked about this with somebody this morning about attitude. Attitude is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a phenomenal attitude. Jeez, you go, girl.
Yeah, thank you.
So 125 deals in Flagstaff will gross you about what?
A little over 1.2.
About 1.2.
Yeah.
And I would think in Flagstaff, 1.2 would put you at the top 2 or 3% of the earners in the whole city.
Yeah.
Are there any real estate agents that do anything close to that?
There might be. So, I mean, I doubt from a business standpoint, because, one of the things that Mike teaches us is to be a better business person. And so I can see those people like hemorrhaging cash right now. And so not that I want that anybody that works hard, I want them to be successful. Let's just say that. But at the end of the day, I don't know what their bottom line looks like, but I've been through, after 34 years, I've been through a lot of cycles, and this too shall pass. And so I'm not panicking. I have savings, cash in the bank. I am, being able to quietly, just like you, Neil, lead from a place of, experience, which I think is huge. And, just being calm in this storm, that's my tactical advantage.
Well, that's fantastic, and it serves us well,
Yes.
and it will serve you well in your market, and serves us well, very well here. It's just doing what needs to be done on a daily basis. Yeah. So, what advice would you give? I mean, these guys and gals are trained. They have the scripts and dialogues. We're doing all the things that one should be doing. Okay. I'm not sure there's anything else that we could do except maybe make a few more contacts a day, I guess. Mm-hmm. What would you recommend right now? What would you suggest? We probably have 3 or 4 more weeks of this, mm-hmm. the way business is being done right now, and then we're going to come out the other side. Yeah. What would you suggest that they work on right now?
I would definitely say that whoever your center of influence is, even if you talked to them a week ago, a week in COVID-19 is like a year. And so you just giving them a quick call and saying, hey, just checking back in. You guys still healthy? What are you thinking? I'm seeing some, or once you get to that point, there might be some opportunities. And there's going to be a time we're going to be asking them for business. Now might not be the time, but just connecting quickly with all of those people again. You can't call them too many times right now. And especially with a calm, confident demeanor, basically.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Great thought. Thank you. Questions? Would you mind answering some, first of all?
No, I don't mind at all.
Oh, okay, good. So anyone in our group, either put it in the chat box or just ask it, unmute and ask.
Valerie, it's Karen Myatt. You're such an inspiration. Thank you.
Hi, Karen.
I'm so in awe of your schedule. Could you go over that a little bit more?
Sure. Everyone wants my schedule till they hear it.
Yes.
So I'm in my office at 6:15. I do, role plays, accountability, and email stuff. I'm the broker in my office, so I do broker stuff early in the morning. And then at 8 o'clock, I have my listing manager who comes into the office, pulls expireds for sale by owners for me. By 8:30, I'm in what I call my fort. So I have a prospecting closet that I lock myself into, which is awesome. And I'm there for a couple of hours. We have a office meeting at 9:30. Recently it had been a Zoom meeting, but I'm fortunate that we're able to kind of get back together as well right now too. And then I have appointments at 11, 11:30, and 1 o'clock for listings. And then I go home at 3 at the latest.
Okay, good job. Thank you. Wow. Any other questions out there?
So Valerie, to follow up on that, one of the questions I get all the time is, how do you get, they ask people like Neil and myself get up really early, just like you. And that's the question. Well, how do you get up earlier? And I always give them a smart ass answer. So what would you say to that question of how do you get up earlier?
Well, with an alarm. So I'll do the smart ass answer too. So I also have so my husband retired last year, but he still gets up at 3:50, which is 3:50. And he makes coffee and then makes breakfast. And so by 4:30, when I get up, I mean, I want to get up and eat. We do intermittent fasting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's easy to get up, because sometimes I'll go to bed so that I can get up early and eat. That's my one meal of the day. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I like getting off at 3. I mean, there's a lot of day left. There's a lot of things to do. Especially in the summertime, it's sunny. I'm able to, ride a horse or jump into my garden or do all kinds of fun stuff. Where used to be 3 weeks ago, stuff with friends, and that'll be back, So I just have a lot of fun stuff I want to do that gets me up early in the morning.
That's great. Good stuff. You said you role played. Do you really role play?
I do. And
okay. Like, really?
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Neil. I mean, guess which script I love to role play the most?
the expired script.
Exactly, because I'm a ninja. So what I have to force myself to do is a different one. So that, because when you do one all the time, you're good at it. You're like, woo, got this. You don't necessarily need that much practice with that one. And so I'm constantly trying to force myself to do the things that I'm not as comfortable with.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, that's the thing we get all the time. You know, I don't want to grind. I don't want to have to do this. Why do I have to do this? And I do this. You know, I've done this for what is it, 44, 45 years. Still getting up and doing the things, and I relate to you and Neil Weichel and all, you know, Hal Swayze, et cetera, Tony Smith. All of us do this a very similar thing, and agents are saying, well, I don't want to have to grind anymore. But how do you deal with that? I don't want to have to grind anymore, when in fact you're making a really nice living in a decent amount of time. You don't consider it grinding. What do you call it? Earning a living?
Basically. And Mike does not like when I say this, but personally, it's not grinding to me. I like the hunt. I like to get out there, and I like to get people on the phone. I like to figure out what I can do to help. So I enjoy that. That's, I guess, part of my DNA. It makes us, I'm sure there are crazy people out there that just love that. And I'm one of them. So
Well, that's great. Fantastic. Very good. All right, we're kind of winding down here. I want to be respectful of her time. Do we have anyone else that has a question that we haven't missed? Nancy, can't call them too much. We talked about the morning routine already, the daily activities. What would you like to leave them with right now, Valerie?
Neil.
Oh, Michael?
Yeah, I got a question for Valerie. Hi, Valerie. I just want to know how you're doing. I just want to know what kind of experience, or what experience do you have in this change doing a virtual presentations, comparing with what you're doing before?
So I haven't done any of these, but I mean, I'm willing to. I feel like I've taken plenty of listings over the phone, and will continue to do so until I'm stopped. So, you know.
You know what I'm seeing here is that most agents that are working their past client and spheres at the level you do don't have to do a virtual conversation. They really are just talking to old friends, and there's such a trust factor that's already built up that you hardly need to do anything virtually. I've heard this from a number of top agents. So there's I think that's what's going on here, Michael.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation over the phone that I've done 1,000 times is great. And it's not, you know, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
And if you're confident in what you're saying, and you can answer those questions, which we do all the time, there's absolutely no reason that we can't be having those conversations on the phone.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
Good. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Michael, you had a question going from 25 to 55 deals. His question, Valerie, was, what was the biggest difference in terms of activities from 25 to 55?
I think the hardest part was handing off things that I had done before that had been successful in getting me to the 25, basically. So that was being more involved in the transaction, more in the weeds. So I had to kind of get over that, and I did that with some really great coaching, and just really deciding what was things that I could delegate, and basically the delegation, because of my ego, thinking, oh, I'm the only one that can ever do this, but that is not the case.
Right. Got it. And how many contacts to do the 1,800 and call them how often a year?
So the 1,800 is, I mean, like I
Sorry,
said,
1,200. It's 1,200. Sorry.
well,
Yeah.
so what I do is I have like my 300 favorite. And so the 1,800 get quarterly postcard, or the 1,200 get the quarterly postcards and maybe a quarterly call, or maybe 2 times a year. Shh, don't tell Mike. But the 300 get, they get babied. And those are the people that are bringing me a lot of business.
Got it.
Mhm.
Very good. Excellent. Well, this has been, Valerie, fantastic for us, for our group. It's been inspirational. I know that we're going to do lots of cool things with it. Well, we're going to take a few minutes right now. And first of all, thank you for all the things that you've done for us, et cetera. I mean, it's just been
Thank
awesome.
you.
So.